In today's video, we'll be recapping the 2014 war film Fury. Directed by David Ayer, the movie follows the story of a U.S. tank crew led by Wardaddy Collier, played by Brad Pitt, as they fight their way through Germany during the final months of World War II. Before we get started, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. In April 1945, the Allies fight deep inside Germany, a fact that caused Hitler to declare total war. He even mobilized women and children to fight against his enemies. Sergeant Don Collier is a tank commander, and he is a crucial paragon of this war. German tanks are superior to American tanks, but there is a small tank named Fury that's under Don's command, which tries to fight against any enemy. Don and his team have just lost a crew member, and they return to their camp devastated. The sergeant tells his men to put their act together and run some maintenance work on Fury. But as it appears, Don needs some time on his own, and he finds a quiet place where he can cry without being seen by anybody. Later, Don is approached by a young man named Norman, who tells him that he is assigned as Fury's new assistant driver. Don doesn't like that, but he has no choice but to point the young man to the rest of the crew. As soon as they meet Norman, they start messing up with him. Upon being asked if he has gone through tank training, Norman explains that he was a clerk typist and they just sent him here. A member of the crew, Grady, tells Norman to grab a bucket of water and clean his seat in the tank. As Norman does that, he is terrified to see that a part of the face that belonged to the previous assistant driver has been stuck on the cold steel. However, he doesn't have any real choice, so he joins the platoon to their next destination. Norman is warned to shoot any German he sees with a gun, but he hesitates to take the shot when he sees a young boy carrying a portable anti-tank system. Consequently, the German soldier takes the shot and destroys the first tank of the column, killing all crew members. The Americans kill the German soldier along with his friends, but Don also figures out that Norman hesitated to take the shot. He snaps at the young man and makes sure he understands what his part in this mission is. That same evening, Don joins forces with some other American troops and they head to save some imprisoned American soldiers. On their way, they get ambushed by German forces and Norman has to participate in yet another battle. Fury's driver, Gordo, tells him to start shooting. Although Norman manages to do so, it takes him way too long to reload the tank's machine gun and stalls. Then, Gordo tells him to shoot at some German bodies in order to make sure they are dead, but Norman refuses to do it. After a heated confrontation between the two of them, the battle comes to an end and the German soldiers are killed. Don takes a moment to speak to the young man, informing him that he intends to keep his crew alive, but he is having a hard time doing so with Norman present. The young man clarifies that he is not a soldier, but Don comes up with another idea when he sees that the Americans have captured a German soldier alive. Don orders Norman to shoot the Nazi, but the latter can't do it. While smacking him around, Don tries to explain to him that this is what war looks like. It is either kill or be killed. Don threatens Norman that he will kill the young man if he does not kill the German soldier. But even so, Norman begs Don to kill him because this is not where he belongs. Eventually, Don puts Norman in a chokehold and forces him to pull the trigger on the German soldier, which sends Norman into a mental breakdown. Right next, the Americans clear a small town even though the Germans try to hold them back. This time Norman decides to fire his machine gun and takes out a couple of Nazis. Later, Don takes Norman to clear a house and they find two German cousins living there, Irma and Emma. Norman sees a piano and he starts playing. When Emma sees him, she joins and starts singing along. Don remarks that Emma is a perfectly fine and clean girl, prompting Norman to take her into the bedroom or else he will take her himself. Norman takes Emma into the bedroom and performs some palm reading on her in order to break the ice. After spending some personal time with Emma, Norman joins Don again. Emma grabs some coffee for them, but the party is ruined as Fury's crew enters the house. Being drunk, Grady starts harassing Emma, but Don tells his men that nobody is going to touch the girl. Then, Grady bullies Norman, annoyed that the young man is having a fun time and he is not. Don invites his men to sit down for a meal, but Grady is still unhappy, so he decides to lick Emma's food and ruin it for her. Don tries to remain calm and he switches plates with Emma, but his team still tries to pick on him. Gordo starts telling an old story where the crew participated in a battle where they killed many enemies and injured many horses. They decided to put the horses out of their misery and spent entire days killing them. Gordo goes into great detail about this process in order to illustrate the hardships this crew has gone through. His point is that Norman was not with them back then, but he is enjoying many benefits while they are not. Don loses his patience and puts his men into their places, but this meal is not meant to be finished since a soldier is looking for Don to tell him that something came up. Don's next mission is to guard a crossroad and not allow the enemy forces to pass. Before they leave town, German airplanes attack and Emma is killed. Norman feels terrible about that, but Grady drags him back to the tank because they have to go. The Americans are ambushed again, but this time it's a Tiger I German tank that attacks them. Even though there is only one, this tank is quite powerful and does not take any damage even when the American tanks hit it. On the other hand, the Tiger tank is able to destroy 2 of the American tanks. Fury is the only tank remaining to fight, and Don orders Gordo to drive around the Tiger. He believes that this tank's weak spot is its rear end, so they need to give their gunner, Boyd, a chance to hit it from behind. As Gordo drives fast around the Tiger, he slows down and Boyd is able to hit it. Grady reloads another missile and Boyd hits the Tiger again, destroying it for good. The tank's operators try to escape, but Don and Norman take care of them. The battle has left Fury without a working radio, so Don is unable to inform his superiors about the casualties. He tells his men they have a job to do and orders Gordo to drive the tank to the crossroad they were supposed to be. Despite their sense of duty, the crew has to face another setback when Fury steps on a landmine. While Gordo and Boyd work on fixing the tank, Don sends Norman and Grady to check on a building. There, Grady opens his heart to Norman, saying that he believes the young man is a good guy. Then, Don sends Norman to cover some high ground while the tank is being fixed. A few minutes later, Norman sees an SS battalion marching and singing, coming directly to Fury's way. Norman runs back to the crew and everyone panics. Don says his men are free to leave, but he is staying back to fight those German soldiers. The crew decides to stay back with him and fight, so Don comes up with a new plan. The crew masks Fury to look like a destroyed tank and they wait. While they do, they decide to drink some alcohol because this might be their last day alive. While they drink, they bond with each other and the crew gives Norman the nickname Machine. Finally, the German battalion approach us and everybody sits tight in the tank. When a soldier opens a hatch, the crew starts attacking with everything they have. All crew members do a good job and manage to take out a large number of enemies, but they soon run out of ammo. The crew provides cover for Don as he jumps out of the tank for a few seconds in order to grab more ammo. Even though the team puts up a good fight, Grady is killed when a German soldier shoots Fury with a portable missile launcher. Soon, Gordo is shot as he tries to throw a grenade at the enemies and falls back into the tank with the bomb. Before the bomb detonates, Gordo jumps on it in order to save the others. Next, Boyd is shot by a sniper who has approached the tank and dies instantly. Finally, Don is shot as well and he retreats back in the tank as more Germans are approaching them. He tells Norman to escape through a hatch on the tank's bottom, and Norman does just that when the Germans throw a couple of bombs in the tank. Unfortunately, Norman is discovered by a young SS soldier. He puts his hands out to show him that he is unarmed and the German soldier has a change of heart, not notifying his friends about Norman. The next morning, the Germans have left and Norman returns to Fury, mourning over Don's dead body. Norman hears more people approaching and gets ready to shoot, but these are American medic units that only mean to save him. Norman is being taken away alive while the film ends with a zoom out on Fury. Even though the tank is destroyed, we are able to see that dozens of Nazi dead bodies have piled up around it.